This is Help Wanted, the show that makes your work work for you. I'm Jason Pfeiffer, editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine.
And I'm money expert Nicole Lappin. On Tuesdays, Jason and I answer the helpline and help callers solve their work problems.
And on Thursdays, I give you one way to improve your work and build a career or company you love.
And it starts now.
I bet that within the last week, maybe even today, you have spoken the following sentence. I don't have enough blank. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough resources. I don't have enough something that you don't have enough of, and that's the reason why you can't do the thing that you want to do. This is your limitation. You've hit a limitation where you don't have enough of something. Well, today, I am going to reveal a resource that you didn't know you have. I'm going to give you more of the thing that you think you need. And what is this more? Where does it come from? Well, it is the stuff that's all around you already, but with a twist. Because you need to stop using the things that you're using in the way that they're meant to be used. I know it sounds weird, but it's true. Instead, you need to find their non-obvious uses. What's that? Well, to explain, I'll first tell you one of my favorite stories of entrepreneurial hustle, which is all about non-obvious use. All right. Years ago, Joelle Mertzel learned a life-changing fact. Butter does not need to be refrigerated. It's true. Why don't more people leave it out, allowing the butter to be soft and easily spreadable? Well, there are two answers to this. Number one, they just don't know any better. I didn't. Number two, they don't have the right butter dish. Because, when you lift the lid on a butter dish, it can bump into butter and make a big mess, especially if that butter is soft because it's been sitting out. So that's why Joelle created Buttery, a flip-top dish so the lid never bumps the butter. Would people want this? Joelle wondered. She didn't know, so she asked a market research company for help. No problem, they said. That'll be $25,000. Now, Joelle couldn't spend that kind of money. So what was she supposed to do? Well, here's what she told me.
I bought a one-way ticket to Vegas, which cost like $39. That way I could get through security.
Joelle is in LA, so that's why flights to Vegas cost basically nothing.
And then I just spent the day going like from gate to gate to gate, asking people, would you buy this product? What would you pay? What color would you want? And then by the time I made it to the end of the, kind of terminal, everyone's already like gone on the plane. New people are queued up. And then as I'm doubling back, I've got new people to ask. And so it was just this really easy way to do market research and get a national perspective on something.
This is how she did her research, ultimately crafting Buttery into a best-selling Amazon product that's been covered in the New York Times and Wall Street Journal. I love this story because it is the true spirit of entrepreneurship. It's about hustle, cleverness, and a never-say-no attitude. But here's the real genius behind it. Joelle found the non-obvious use for an airport, and that's what made the difference. So let's talk about the usefulness of non-obvious uses. Everything in the world, if you divide it up like this, really only has two uses. First, there's the obvious use. It's what everyone uses the thing for. And then there's the non-obvious use. That's for you to discover. The internet is full of non-obvious uses for household objects. For example, you could just cut a tennis ball in half and then easily use it to pop open jars or pop open bottle caps. That's something I found on something called Family Handyman. The medical world is also full of this. 1 in 5 prescription drugs are off-label, for example, meaning that they were prescribed for something other than what the FDA actually approved that drug for, the non-obvious use. But this concept is not just limited to tennis balls and pharmaceuticals. Everything around you has a non-obvious use. Every wall is a place to carve a door. Every airport is a market research facility. And here's the best part. When you discover a non-obvious use for something, you have a competitive advantage because you just created value where others saw nothing. I'll give you another example of this. I once interviewed a guy named Chaim Pekarsky. He was in the camera film business. That became a pretty bad business. Then eventually he got into the camera products business. That also was a pretty bad business. He was really struggling. And that's when he realized something. Amazon, which is where he was selling his products, Amazon was not just a place to sell products. That was just the obvious use for it. Amazon was also a place to test products. Chaim built a team who spent their days reading Amazon reviews. For example, they would find, let's say, a popular portable speaker. Like a speaker connects to your phone or something and plays music. And in the reviews, they might find a bunch of people that say things like, I like this speaker, but I wish it had rechargeable batteries. Or I like this speaker, but I wish it was waterproof. Then Chaim's company would create a waterproof portable version of a speaker with rechargeable batteries, do a small run with a low-cost manufacturer, put it on Amazon with some made-up brand name, and see what happens. I met this guy, Chaim, in 2013 when this strategy had built him a 9-figure business in New Jersey. And then when I reached back out in 2021 to include him in my book, Build for Tomorrow, his company, CNA Global, had become one of the largest third-party platform sellers on Amazon with offices around the world. He'd even purchased Ritz Camera and SkyMall. Remember SkyMall, that catalog that you used to find on airplanes? He owns that now because Chaim had found the non-obvious use for Amazon. And just like Joelle, it changed everything. So how can you do this too? It starts with a mental filter. Too often we are focused on our big problem. Joelle couldn't afford market research. Chaim had a suffering camera products business. When big problems are on our mind, solutions are hard to find. That's because big problems are often too complex and specific. It's hard to find a key if your lock is too complex. So instead, ask yourself this. In the simplest terms, what do I need right now? Carry that question around in your head. Use it as your filter. There's the old saying, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, that's usually meant as a bad thing, but what if you embraced it? A hammer needs to hit things. You need something too. Look around. Question everything. Can this fulfill my need? Can that? How? What do I need right now? You will start to see the world differently. Joelle couldn't afford market research, but she didn't need market research. What she needed was a place where people were willing to talk. That's what she saw at the airport. Chaim's camera product company was failing, but he didn't need a better way to sell camera products. He needed a better understanding of what consumers wanted. That's what he saw on Amazon. At the beginning of this podcast, I said, you're trying to do something and you don't have enough money, enough time, enough resources, enough something, right? It's that phrase, I don't have enough. Well, those aren't your exact needs. Money, time, resources, those are your perceived means to fulfill your needs. It would be great if you had those things. Believe me, I wish I had more of them all. But you don't, I don't. So let's not focus on that. Instead, the question is, what do you have around you? And how can those things be bent to your will? How can they fulfill your needs? By being used in a non-obvious way, visible only to you, because you saw what others couldn't, because you thought differently than everyone else. And that is where game-changing ideas come from. And speaking of come from, that came from my newsletter. It's called One Thing Better. Each week, one way to be more successful and satisfied at work and build a career or company that you love. It's a companion to this Help Wanted podcast. I read them here, so stay tuned to Help Wanted. But if you want to get them earlier, as well as some other stuff that I share in my newsletter, you can get that at onethingbetter.email. That's a web address. Just plug it into a browser, onethingbetter.email. And now, look around you right now. Look at something. Whatever it is, what's the non-obvious use for that? Go figure it out. Help Wanted is a production of Money News Network. Help Wanted is hosted by me, Jason Pfeiffer.
And me, Nicole Lappin. Our executive producer is Morgan Lavoie. If you want some help, email our helpline at helpwanted@moneynewsnetwork.com for the chance to have some of your questions answered on the show. And follow us on Instagram at Money News and TikTok at Money News Network for exclusive content and to see our beautiful faces. Maybe a little dance.
Oh, I didn't sign up for that.
All right, well, talk to you soon.